NASCAR just slammed the brakes on Cletus McFarland at the exact moment a lot of fans thought they should be speeding him up, and that is why this story has exploded, because every week in this sport, veteran drivers spin, crash, overdrive corners, miss pit road marks, and still get trusted with the next big stage. But when Cletus brings a wave of new eyeballs, finishes the race, keeps the car mostly together, and proves he can at least survive a brutal learning day, suddenly the bar feels a whole lot stricter. So here's what happened. Cletus McFarland, aka Garrett Mitchell, was denied approval to run the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race at Talladega after his April 4th debut in the same series at Rockingham. NASCAR looked at the whole picture, including the Rockingham race and his overall resume, and said they still need to see more progression before they let him loose on a superspeedway in that series. That call disappointed a lot of people, especially because Cletus is already approved for all Truck Series races, all ARCA races, and O'Reilly short tracks. And that is exactly what we are breaking down today. The controversy around NASCAR stopping him when many fans believe he is good for the sport and should be moving faster, not slower, than what some of the biggest NASCAR voices have actually said about him, from Richard Childress to Mark Martin to NASCAR's own executives. After that, we will get to the big new development, because NASCAR President Steve O'Donnell has now spoken directly about the approval saga and what Cletus must show next. And finally, we will talk about the best path forward. The reason this has become such a hot button issue is simple. Cletus McFarland is not just another developmental driver trying to sneak through the system. He is one of the biggest creator names ever to touch NASCAR, with more than 4.6 million YouTube subscribers, a huge built-in motorsports audience, and a track record of bringing attention everywhere he goes. Richard Childress saw that immediately when he signed him, and NASCAR saw it too. In a video posted to his Facebook page on Tuesday evening, Garrett Mitchell, DBA Cletus McFarland, says NASCAR has not approved him to run superspeedways in the O'Reilly series at this time. They did not see enough. Granted, it was a pretty hectic race. I tried to pass someone 3 wide on the 3rd lap, spun out a few more times, didn't crash or crash anybody, but still, it was pretty hectic. Nonetheless, NASCAR has said we need to see you run more ARCA and more trucks, and have some of those on my calendar coming up, but in O'Reilly, I am still limited to short tracks. In the video, Cletus concedes he's only been in NASCAR for 1 year, and that it was never my mission to get to the top as fast as he could. We figured we would try. We didn't get approved. It is what it is. I need more windshield time, regardless of whether it's in an O'Reilly car, ARCA car, or truck. More windshield never isn't going to hurt. I have a lot to learn, guys. He says it's a kick in the nuts, but not as much of a letdown as it seems. I just need to get out there more and do as much learning as possible, and then hopefully I'll get to run Daytona and Talladega next year. Richard Childress Racing's Danny Lawrence suggested this might be the outcome on Saturday, telling Motorsport.com that he suspected NASCAR would want to see more out of the 31-year-old YouTuber. Well, they'll look at everything. They might ask us to run another race, because the thing about it is, we didn't get to do a live pit stop. There were a lot of things they wanted to see happen that didn't happen. When he got sideways early, we automatically went into this conservation mode of just keep rolling and don't push it too hard. So, it's going to be close, but I would not be surprised if NASCAR didn't want us to run another race before we got to Daytona and Talladega. Everything happened so fast there that we all want to be prepared when we do take him there. NASCAR EVP and Chief Racing Development Officer John Probst also indicated this earlier today on the sanctioning body's Hauler Talk podcast. The fan divide exists, with some believing NASCAR is protecting the sport's integrity, while others see a growth engine being held back. NASCAR President Steve O'Donnell stated it is kind of every race, so we go to the next race we will see, and obviously there is some progression we need to see. The Rockingham race drew a 0.65 rating and 1.165 million viewers, up 12% in rating and 11% in total viewers year over year, while the series averaged 1.282 million viewers per race, up 3.6% year over year. Nobody can prove every extra viewer came from Cletus, but it is not hard to connect the dots when a creator with that kind of reach shows up and the viewership jumps. NASCAR talks all the time about wanting younger fans, broader attention, and bigger reach. Safety matters more than clicks. Cletus did not go to Rockingham and take out half the field. He spun, he struggled, he learned, and he still brought the car home in 32nd, 6 laps down, after also finishing 4th in the ARCA East race earlier that same day. That ARCA result matters more than people admit. Motorsports coverage of the East race noted that he ran 4th, stayed on the lead lap, kept the car clean, and scored his first top 5 finish in any NASCAR sanctioned event. That was not a fluke win in chaos. That was a solid composed run in a stock car on a difficult track. Then later in the day, the O'Reilly race exposed how much harder the next level really is. He started 35th, got loose several times, served a speeding penalty, spun on lap 206, and still managed to finish with the car mostly intact. That is not greatness, but it is not nothing either, and that is where the split begins inside NASCAR itself. Some voices think the denial proves the system worked. Others think the criticism of Cletus has been a little over the top. Richard Childress was firmly in the second camp. In his interview after Rockingham, Childress said, "What a great idea, not just for RCR, but for our sport here." Cletus, which is Garrett, has close to 5 million followers, and if we can get 10% of those new fans coming to races and looking at the racetrack because of Cletus, I know he brought people to Rockingham, brought people watching the race. He also said, he's a rookie, and I'm proud of what he did last week. He's raced, but he doesn't have the experience. I think some of the drivers are beating him up a little excessive. Childress openly admitted he lacks experience, but made the business and growth argument clearly with the statement he loves the sport. He is a car guy and the fans follow him for that, and he'll bring us a lot of new fans. And it has been interesting to watch Cletus, and seeing what he can do for NASCAR really is what pumps me up. Then there is the Mark Martin side of it, which I think is the most interesting because Martin is not giving out empty praise. He looked at the Rockingham run and said, "He didn't exceed my expectations. I expected him to run about like he ran. It was a tremendous challenge. He still got over his skis multiple times, but his driving talent saved it. Many other drivers would have wiped that car out in some of those slides and events that he had. I give him credit for that. I think he can drive. He's just got to learn to drive these cars on these tracks." That is a huge distinction. Martin is not saying Cletus is ready now. He is saying the raw ability is there even if the polish is not. And NASCAR's own competition side has sounded a lot like that. John Probst, NASCAR's executive vice president and chief racing development officer, made it clear after the Talladega denial that this was not some anti-Cletus decision. He said McFarland is approved right now for O'Reilly Series short tracks, which means all ARCA, all truck, and O'Reilly up through the short tracks, but that NASCAR wants to see more out of Cletus in the short tracks before approving him for Talladega. He also said, "We're all huge Cletus fans. We all watch his videos and are certainly very appreciative of everything he's done in our sport, or for our sport, and will continue to do in our sport." It shows NASCAR is not rejecting the value he brings. It is just rejecting the timing of the Superspeedway jump. And now we get to the big new part of this story because NASCAR president Steve O'Donnell has finally spoken directly on it. O'Donnell said the process is not fixed to one simple checklist. In his words, it's kind of every race. So we go to the next race. We'll see. Obviously, there's some progression we need to see. He also said, "I applaud our team. It's a tough call. He's a hugely popular driver, but these are the best drivers in the world, and we got to make sure that we got the right guys out there. I think it was the right call. Let's see what he does at the next race. Certainly we'd like to see him keep progressing, but he's got to do it the right way." NASCAR knows he is popular. NASCAR knows he moves the needle. NASCAR knows fans want him in the field, but O'Donnell is telling everyone that popularity is not enough to override their process. At the same time, and this is the subtle part people miss, he is not closing the door. He is saying progression can change the answer. That means this is not a ban in the real sense. It is a deli, and for Cletus, that distinction is everything. If NASCAR's position is that they need progression, then the best thing they can do is give him a clear, active runway to progress, because the worst outcome here would be using Rockingham as proof he is not ready, while also making it unnecessarily hard for him to get the reps that would make him ready. The positive news is that NASCAR has not done that. He remains eligible for all truck races, all ARCA races, and short tracks in the O'Reilly Series. He is not locked out of the ladder. He is still on it, and that may be the smartest compromise. Let him stack more races. Let him run more trucks. Let him run more ARCA. Let him keep doing the exact thing O'Donnell and Probst are asking to see. If he goes out and keeps the car underneath him, sharpens the racecraft, and avoids the kind of control losses that happened at Rockingham, Rockingham and in his truck debut at Daytona, then the pressure on NASCAR to approve him for the next superspeedway opportunity will get much stronger. His resume already includes 4 ARCA starts in 2025, a best of 10th at Talladega last year, a truck debut at Daytona this year that ended after 6 laps, a 4th place ARCA East finish at Rockingham, and a full O'Reilly race completed the same day. That is not enough yet for NASCAR, but it is also not the resume of somebody who is just messing around. Stop fighting the denial like it is the end of the world and start using it as fuel. Run the truck races, run the ARCA races, run the short tracks in the O'Reilly series. Show the progression Steve O'Donnell is talking about. Make NASCAR answer a harder question next time, because right now they can point to the spins, the pace deficit, and the inexperience. A few more clean races and suddenly the conversation changes from he is not ready to what exactly are you still waiting for? That is the position Cletus needs to get himself into, and that is why this saga is so fascinating. The controversy is real, the fan divide is real, the opportunity is real. Cletus McFarland is good for NASCAR. That much feels obvious now. Richard Childress believes it. The ratings suggest it. NASCAR's own executives basically admit it. The only real question left is whether his driving progression can catch up fast enough to match the attention he's already bringing. If it does, the sport will have exactly what it wants. A driver who is not just marketable, but genuinely ready. Cletus McFarland had an adventurous O'Reilly debut at Rockingham. The YouTube sensation finished 32nd, 6 laps down, but he made his biggest splash at lap 206 when his number 33 Richard Childress Racing Chevrolet broke loose in turn 3, sliding to the bottom of the track before spinning back into traffic to draw the 7th caution flag of the day. The adventure began early for McFarland, who ran both the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race and the ARCA Menards Series East event Saturday at Rockingham. A daring move at lap 4 put his car on the bottom of a 3-wide situation entering turn 1. McFarland slid sideways and made a remarkable save, but immediately lost significant ground to the leader. Another close call occurred at lap 49. Blake Lothian spun in turn 2 just ahead of McFarland. As Lothian wandered down the track, McFarland barely avoided his number 55 Chevrolet, diving to the apron and missing the car by inches. McFarland finished 4th in the ARCA East race, combining to complete 369 of his scheduled 375 laps around Rockingham on Saturday. Cletus McFarland uses lessons from the late Greg Biffle in his ARCA East top 5 at Rockingham. Cletus McFarland has now finished in the top 5 in a NASCAR touring series using lessons from his friend, the late Greg Biffle, to secure his best NASCAR finish to date. NASCAR hasn't seen enough from Cletus McFarland yet. It won't let him race at Talladega Superspeedway just yet, wanting to see more time in the car at this level before doing so. But Childress sounds confident it's just a matter of time. And you can't buy the kind of publicity McFarland brings. When you step up, if you go from late model to trucks to Xfinity car, every step is tougher and tougher and tougher. NASCAR didn't see enough from McFarland to grant him approval to run at superspeedways such as Talladega and Daytona International Speedway. NASCAR President Steve O'Donnell said Monday that McFarland can still earn approval, but they need to see some progression. There's always controversy of who's approved, who's not approved, but I think it was the right call. Cletus McFarland's impact has been palpable with tangible evidence he is boosting the ratings. The NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race at Rockingham that Cletus McFarland took part in saw a big ratings bump. It was up 12% in terms of rating year over year, while jumping 11% in total viewership. Through the first 7 races of the season, the No APs had averaged 1.282 million viewers per race. That's an increase of 3.6% year over year. 4 of the first 8 races of the season this year have drawn a larger viewership total than a year ago. The last 3 races have all posted year-over-year beats. Cletus McFarland is eligible to enter the ARCA race at Talladega, which takes place the same day of the NOAPS race he wasn't approved for. He finished 10th in that race last season. He is approved right now for O'Reilly Series short tracks, which means he's good for all of ARCA, all of Truck, and then O'Reilly up through the short tracks. We'd like to see more out of Cletus in the short tracks, so we're not saying no, but there is more that we would like to see out of Cletus before we would approve him for Talladega. Officials would like to see him to gain additional experience by running O'Reilly races on shorter sized oval tracks and road courses.